Modes of Thought by Alfred North Whitehead. Quotes. In Modes of Thought, Alfred North Whitehead explores the intricate relationships between ideas, experience, and the nature of reality. Through a series of lectures, he invites us to rethink fundamental concepts such as importance, understanding, and creativity, presenting them as essential aspects of human experience and civilization. Whitehead emphasizes the dynamic interplay between clarity and vagueness, order and disorder, and the intrinsic role these concepts play in shaping both individual consciousness and broader cultural evolution. The book is an invitation to explore how modes of thought influence our perception of the world and drive human progress. Quote 1. The first chapter in philosophic approach should consist in a free examination of some ultimate notions as they occur naturally in daily life. Philosophy begins with an open and natural examination of fundamental ideas, the ones that naturally arise in daily experience. These are not concepts to be strictly defined, but rather embraced as essential components of various groups of notions. They must be explored in their own right, rather than dissected into more basic ideas. Philosophical inquiry must start with these broad, inherently important concepts. Quote 2. In all systematic thought, there is a tinge of pedantry. Whenever we engage in systematic thinking, there is an inevitable limitation and rigidity. This arises because organizing thoughts into a system often excludes certain ideas or experiences, deeming them irrelevant. The challenge of philosophy is to go beyond these narrow systems to consider the broad range of human experience that resists simplification or reduction. Quote 3. Systematic philosophy is a subject of study for specialists. On the other hand, the philosophic process of assemblage should have received some attention from every educated mind, in its escape from its own specialism. While building philosophical systems is typically the work of specialists, the task of gathering and reflecting on ideas in a non-systematic, inclusive way should be part of every educated person's intellectual activity. This process, termed assemblage, encourages a broader understanding, free from the confines of specific expertise. Quote 4. Civilized beings are those who survey the world with some large generality of understanding. To be civilized means to look at the world with a broad, comprehensive sense of understanding, going beyond immediate perceptions. This depth of insight is what distinguishes humans from animals, who, while capable of love, beauty, and devotion, lack the generality of thought that characterizes true civilization. Quote 5. There are two contrasted ideas which seem inevitably to underlie all width of experience. One of them is the notion of importance, the sense of importance, the presupposition of importance. The other is the notion of matter of fact. In all human experiences, two foundational concepts emerge: the notion of importance, which gives weight to what we focus on, and the notion of matter of fact, which refers to the undeniable reality we must confront. These ideas are intertwined, as our sense of what is important shapes our attention to reality, and our grasp of reality gives context to what is important. Quote 6. We must be systematic, but we should keep our systems open. In other words, we should be sensitive to their limitations. It is necessary to create systems to organize thoughts and ideas, but we must remain aware of the limitations of these systems. Being sensitive to what they exclude allows us to recognize the areas where deeper or broader understanding is still needed, keeping our thinking flexible and open to new insights. Quote 7. Thus, importance, selection, and intellectual freedom are bound up together, and they all involve some reference to matter of fact. The concepts of importance, selection, and intellectual freedom are deeply connected. Our ability to choose what to focus on and thus exercise intellectual freedom relies on assigning relative importance to various aspects of reality. In turn, this importance is grounded in the matter-of-factness of the world. The concrete reality, from which all ideas arise. Quote 8. It is one function of great literature to evoke a vivid feeling of what lies beyond words. Great literature succeeds not by simply stating facts, but by stirring emotions and ideas that words alone cannot fully capture. It transcends the limitations of language, evoking deeper insights and feelings about the broader truths and experiences of life, reaching into areas that are beyond verbal description. Quote 9. Feeling is the agent which reduces the universe to its perspective for fact. Our emotions play a key role in how we perceive and prioritize the endless details of reality. Feeling creates a sense of perspective, helping us navigate the overwhelming complexity of the world by focusing on what is important or meaningful to us. It organizes our experience into something we can manage and understand. Quote 10. The father of European philosophy, in one of his many moods of thought, laid down the axiom that the deeper truths must be adumbrated by myths. In the history of philosophy, it has often been recognized that the most profound truths are not easily captured by logical argument alone. Instead, they must be hinted at or symbolized through myths, stories, or metaphors, which convey meaning that exceeds the boundaries of rational explanation. Quote 11. Thus, one characterization of importance is that it is that aspect of feeling whereby a perspective is imposed upon the universe of things felt. The idea of importance is closely tied to our feelings, as it shapes how we perceive and prioritize the world around us. Our emotions guide us in assigning different levels of significance to things, which in turn organizes our perspective. Importance helps us filter out what does not need our immediate attention, allowing us to focus on what matters most to us in any given moment. Quote 12. Importance is a generic notion which has been obscured by the overwhelming prominence of a few of its innumerable species. The concept of importance has been narrowed down to specific aspects such as morality, logic, religion, and art, with each being treated as if they define importance entirely. However, the true nature of importance is much broader, and no single field or discipline can fully encapsulate it. Each of these aspects represents just one of many possible expressions of importance, which extends beyond these traditional categories. Quote 13. Morality consists in the control of process so as to maximize importance. It is the aim at greatness of experience in the various dimensions belonging to it. Morality is about guiding actions and processes in a way that enhances the significance and quality of experience. The goal of moral behavior is to achieve a balance of harmony, intensity, and vividness in life, which ultimately leads to a deeper and more meaningful existence. Morality, then, is not just about following rules, but about maximizing the importance of each moment in its proper context. Quote 14. There is no one behavior system belonging to the essential character of the universe as the universal moral ideal. There is no single, absolute set of rules or behaviors that apply universally across all situations in the universe. Instead, morality must be flexible, adapting to the specific circumstances of each case. The essence of moral action lies not in rigid codes, but in the spirit or intent behind the behavior, which should aim to protect and enhance the importance of experience in that moment. Quote 15. Great advances in thought are often the result of fortunate errors. These errors are the result of oversimplification. Many intellectual breakthroughs happen because of mistakes or oversimplified ideas that turn out to contain valuable insights. While these errors may initially be flawed or incomplete, they often lead to progress by revealing new ways of thinking. Simplification can sometimes open the door to deeper understanding, even if it misses important details at first. Quote 16. Matter of fact is an abstraction, arrived at by confining thought to purely formal relations which then masquerade as the final reality. The concept of matter of fact is not the ultimate truth, but rather an abstraction that reduces complex realities to simple, formal relationships. This focus on the purely factual leads to the illusion that these abstractions represent the totality of reality. However, the richness and complexity of the world often escape such a narrow focus, as the full reality is much more intricate than the formal relationships we define through facts. Quote 17. The concentration of attention upon matter of fact is the supremacy of the desert. Focusing exclusively on facts and the material aspects of reality leads to a barren intellectual landscape, one that lacks the richness of deeper connections and meaning. By neglecting the essential ties between facts and human experience, this approach deprives learning and life of the vitality and significance that come from exploring broader, more profound truths. This fixation on matter of fact represents a kind of intellectual desolation. Quote 18. Importance is primarily monistic in its reference to the universe. Importance, limited to a finite individual occasion, ceases to be important. Importance, as a concept, is tied to the wholeness of the universe. When importance is restricted to a single finite event or occasion, it loses its true meaning. The idea of importance is derived from something larger, an infinite connection that transcends the limitations of individual moments. In this sense, importance gains significance from its relationship to the infinite and the universal. Quote 19. Expression is founded on the finite occasion. It is the activity of finitude impressing itself on its environment. Expression, unlike importance, is rooted in the finite and is about the ways in which something limited or individual affects its surroundings. It arises from a specific moment and radiates outward, shaping the environment by sharing aspects of the finite experience. This makes expression the finite's contribution to the broader world, allowing individual moments or entities to leave an impact on the collective whole. Quote 20. The human body is that region of the world which is the primary field of human expression. The human body serves as the primary medium through which individuals express their thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is the physical manifestation of the mind's impulses and reactions, translating internal experiences into outward behavior. This expression, whether through speech, movement, or other forms of interaction, links the individual to the external world, making the body a central point of human communication and interaction. Quote 21. Wherever there is a region of nature which is itself the primary field of the expressions issuing from each of its parts, that region is alive. Life is defined by the presence of expression within a given region of nature. A living entity, whether plant, animal, or otherwise, is characterized by the way its parts interact and express themselves. These expressions may be subtle or complex, but they are the hallmark of life, distinguishing the living from the non-living by their continuous, dynamic interaction within their environment. Quote 22. Feeling, in the sense here used, or prehension, is the reception of expressions. Feeling, or prehension, refers to the process of receiving and responding to expressions from the environment. It is not merely an emotional experience, but a fundamental aspect of how living beings interact with the world around them. By receiving the expressions of others, organisms engage in a continuous exchange of experiences, shaping their own perspectives and actions based on what they perceive and feel. Quote 23. In mankind, the dominant dependence on bodily functioning seems still there, and yet the life of a human being receives its worth, its importance, from the way in which unrealized ideals shape its purposes and tinge its actions. While human beings remain biologically dependent on their bodily functions, their true significance and purpose come from the ideals and possibilities that they envision but have yet to achieve. These unrealized ideals, moral, artistic, intellectual, shape human actions and give life its deeper meaning, distinguishing human life from that of other animals by the capacity to aspire toward something greater than immediate survival or bodily needs. Quote 24. The conceptual entertainment of unrealized possibility becomes a major factor in human mentality. Humans possess a unique ability to imagine and entertain possibilities that are not yet real. This capacity to think beyond the present and the actual is a defining characteristic of human consciousness. It allows people to dream, plan, and create, introducing novelty and innovation into their lives and the world around them. This conceptual grasp of what might be is central to human progress and creativity. Quote 25. Morality emphasizes the detailed occasion, while religion emphasizes the unity of ideal inherent in the universe. Morality focuses on the specific actions and choices made in individual situations, seeking to determine what is right or wrong in those moments. In contrast, religion is concerned with the overarching unity of ideals that permeate the universe, guiding human beings toward a higher purpose or meaning. While morality deals with the particulars, religion addresses the universal, offering a broader sense of connection and purpose. Quote 26. The animals evolved and emphasized the superficial aspects of their connexity with nature, and thus obtained a manageable grip upon the world. Animals have developed ways of interacting with the world that focus on the more immediate and superficial aspects of their relationship with nature. This allows them to navigate and manage their environments effectively, using senses like sight, hearing, and smell to respond to changes and challenges. By focusing on these superficial connections, animals maintain control over their surroundings and ensure their survival. Quote 27. Men are the children of the universe, with foolish enterprises and irrational hopes. Human beings, in their pursuit of understanding and creation, often engage in ventures that may seem irrational or illogical. Yet, this childlike curiosity and ambition are what drive human progress and creativity. Humans, as part of the universe, are drawn to explore, imagine, and hope, even when their endeavors appear whimsical or impractical. This is part of the beauty and complexity of human existence. Quote 28. The present receives the past and builds the future, but there are grades of permanence and of compulsive stability. The present moment is not isolated. It is shaped by the accumulation of past experiences and is constantly building towards the future. However, not all aspects of this process are equally stable. Some elements of life are more permanent and resistant to change than others. These layers of stability influence how both the past and future interact with the present. Quote 29. Importance generates interest. Interest leads to discrimination. In this way, interest is increased, and the two factors, interest and discrimination, stimulate each other. The concept of importance fuels our interest in particular things, and this interest encourages us to discern and differentiate details more carefully. As we engage more with what interests us, the cycle of increased interest and discrimination continues, intensifying our focus and awareness. This dynamic process contributes to the development of deeper understanding. Quote 30. Language is the triumph of human ingenuity, surpassing even the intricacies of modern technology. Language stands as one of humanity's greatest achievements, more complex and far-reaching than even modern technological advancements. It is a testament to the intelligence and creativity of human beings, developed over tens of thousands of years as a tool for communication and expression that surpasses any material invention in its impact on human civilization. Quote 31. In speech, while a superficial, manageable expression is diffused, yet the sense of the vague intimacies of organic existence is also excited. When we speak, we are not just sharing simple, superficial expressions. The act of producing sound also engages deeper, more intimate aspects of our bodily and emotional existence. Speech has a unique connection to our physical being, and the use of our lungs and throat in communication reflects a deeper integration of our inner experiences with the external world. Quote 32. Language is expression from one's past into one's present. It is the reproduction in the present of sensa which have intimate association with the realities of the past. Language allows us to bring the past into the present by articulating memories and experiences that are linked to past events. Through words, we can relive and clarify past experiences, making them distinct and present once again. In this way, language serves as a bridge between different moments in time, connecting past realities with present expression. Quote 33. The essence of language is that it utilizes those elements in experience most easily abstracted for conscious entertainment, and most easily reproduced in experience. Language draws from the parts of experience that are most easily conceptualized and brought into conscious thought. These elements, being easily understood and remembered, form the foundation of how we express and communicate our experiences. Language simplifies the complex reality around us into manageable, abstract symbols that we can share and understand. Quote 34. It is no accident that the Athenians, from whom we derive our Western notions of freedom, enjoyed the use of a language supreme for its delicate variety. The rich and varied language of the Athenians was a significant factor in the development of their ideas of freedom. Their ability to express subtle and complex thoughts through language played a role in shaping the philosophical and political ideals that have influenced Western civilization. The flexibility and nuance of their language helped foster an environment where freedom of thought could thrive. Quote 35. The denial that language is of the essence of thought is not the assertion that thought is possible apart from the other activities coordinated with it. While language is not the fundamental essence of thought, this does not mean that thought can exist entirely independently of other forms of expression and activity. Thought and expression are deeply interconnected, and the development of thought is influenced by the activities and processes associated with it. Language is one of many expressions that shape and refine human thinking. Quote 36. The abstraction, inherent in the development of language, has its dangers. It leads away from the realities of the immediate world. As language becomes more abstract, it risks pulling us away from the concrete realities of our immediate environment. While abstraction allows us to think and communicate in more general terms, it can also create a disconnect from the tangible lived experiences that ground our understanding of the world. This abstraction, if not balanced, can lead to superficial or trivial thinking. Quote 37. The mentality of mankind and the language of mankind created each other. Human thought and language evolved together, each shaping and influencing the other. Language allowed human beings to develop more complex thoughts and ideas, while the growing complexity of human thinking drove the further development of language. This mutual relationship between language and thought is fundamental to the growth of human consciousness and civilization. Quote 38. Understanding is never a completed static state of mind. It always bears the character of a process of penetration, incomplete and partial. Understanding is not something that is ever fully achieved or finished. Rather, it is a continual process of delving deeper into knowledge, always incomplete and evolving. The nature of human comprehension is such that it is always partial, with further exploration and discovery lying beyond each moment of insight. Understanding is a dynamic and ongoing journey rather than a final destination. Quote 39. The 19th century was a period of great achievement, suggestive of an ant hill. It failed to produce men of learning with a sensitive appreciation of varieties of interest, of varieties of potentiality. While the 19th century was marked by significant intellectual progress, much of it was highly specialized, akin to the organized, narrow focus of an ant colony. This era lacked thinkers with a broader, more holistic appreciation of diverse ideas and potentials. The intellectual achievements of the time, though impressive, often came at the expense of a more expansive, creative understanding of the world. Quote 40. If civilization is to survive, the expansion of understanding is a prime necessity. For humanity to continue advancing and preserving its civilization, the scope of our understanding must continually expand. Limiting knowledge to narrow fields or fixed ideas threatens progress, while a broader, more inclusive understanding is essential for overcoming challenges and fostering growth. The future of civilization depends on our capacity to deepen and broaden our comprehension of the world. Quote 41. Understanding always involves the notion of composition. To understand something, one must consider how its parts are composed and interrelated. Whether analyzing a concept or a physical object, understanding requires seeing how different elements come together to form a whole. This involves recognizing both the internal structure and the external influence of the object or idea, as understanding is inherently about relationships and connections. Quote 42. Nothing is finally understood until its reference to process has been made evident. True understanding of anything cannot be achieved without recognizing its connection to ongoing processes. Everything is part of a broader system of change and development, and understanding requires seeing how something fits into this flow of events. Without situating knowledge within a dynamic process, our comprehension remains incomplete and static. Quote 43. Self-evidence is understanding. When something is self-evident, it requires no further explanation or proof, as it is immediately clear and understood. This kind of intuitive grasp represents the essence of true understanding, where the insight is direct and complete. Self-evidence allows for a deep sense of knowing that transcends the need for argument or justification. Quote 44. Proofs are the tools for the extension of our imperfect self-evidence. Proof is a means of expanding our limited self-evidence or intuitive understanding. When something is not immediately clear or self-evident, proofs help us bridge the gap and bring greater clarity to our knowledge. They are a way to extend our understanding, though they are secondary to the more fundamental experience of self-evidence. Quote 45. There is no reason to hold that confusion is less fundamental than is order. Both order and confusion are essential aspects of the universe, and one is not inherently more fundamental than the other. Confusion, disorder, and conflict are as much a part of existence as harmony and structure. A comprehensive understanding of the world must account for both chaos and order as intertwined elements of reality. Quote 46. Philosophy is the criticism of abstractions, which governs special modes of thought. Philosophy seeks to critique and explore the abstract concepts that underpin specific ways of thinking. It challenges the assumptions and frameworks that guide particular intellectual systems, aiming to reveal deeper truths about the nature of reality. Philosophy is an ongoing inquiry into the abstractions that shape our understanding. Quote 47. Understanding, however imperfect, is the self-evidence of pattern, so far as it has been discriminated. Even when incomplete, understanding involves recognizing patterns and connections within the knowledge we have. This partial recognition of a pattern allows for a sense of self-evidence, even if the full picture is not yet clear. The process of understanding is about discerning these patterns, which offer glimpses of coherence amidst complexity. Quote 48. Process is the way by which the universe escapes from the exclusions of inconsistency. Process allows the universe to move beyond the limitations and contradictions that exist within any finite situation. Through the dynamic unfolding of events, the universe overcomes the restrictions imposed by specific circumstances, enabling progress and growth. Inconsistencies that seem insurmountable in one moment can be resolved over time, as the universe continually adapts and evolves. Quote 49. Process is the immanence of the infinite in the finite, whereby all bounds are burst, and all inconsistencies dissolved. Process represents the presence of infinite possibilities within the finite world, allowing limitations to be transcended and contradictions to be resolved. It is through process that the finite opens up to the infinite, expanding beyond its boundaries and dissolving the constraints that once seemed absolute. This constant unfolding connects the finite with the infinite, enabling transformation. Quote 50. The expansion of any special topic changes its whole meaning from top to bottom. As a field of knowledge grows and develops, its meaning and relevance shift entirely. The expansion of a particular subject transforms the way it is understood, often redefining its relationship to the broader universe. This evolution in meaning highlights how no field remains static, and as it deepens, its implications and connections to other areas of knowledge also change. Quote 51. Perhaps our knowledge is distorted, unless we can comprehend its essential connection with happenings which involve spatial relationships of 15 dimensions. Our current understanding of the universe may be limited or skewed because it is based on a narrow view of spatial dimensions. While we typically operate within 3 dimensions, there may be far more complex spatial relationships that are crucial to a fuller understanding of reality. Without exploring these higher dimensions, our knowledge remains incomplete, and the true nature of the universe may elude us. Quote 52. We cannot prescribe the pattern of progress. Progress cannot be predetermined or forced into a specific pattern. True advancement in thought, art, or science often arises unpredictably, through the introduction of new ideas and patterns that break free from established norms. Progress is an organic, creative process that defies strict guidelines, and any attempt to rigidly define it risks stifling the very innovation it seeks to promote. Quote 53. The sense of penetration is lost in the certainty of completed knowledge. When people believe they have fully understood something, the desire to explore deeper and uncover new insights often fades. The feeling of having achieved complete knowledge can stifle curiosity and halt further exploration, leading to intellectual stagnation. True understanding requires maintaining a sense of openness and the recognition that there is always more to discover. Quote 54. Thus, consistency grows with abstraction from the concrete. As we move away from the specific, detailed realities of concrete experience, we can achieve greater consistency in our abstract thinking. Abstraction simplifies the complexity of the concrete world, allowing for clearer, more consistent logical structures. However, this consistency comes at the cost of losing touch with the richness and nuance of concrete, lived experience. Quote 55. The sense of penetration is essential to sustain interest. The feeling of making progress in understanding is crucial for maintaining intellectual engagement and curiosity. Without the experience of uncovering new layers of meaning or insight, interest fades, and the pursuit of knowledge becomes stagnant. Penetrating deeper into the unknown keeps the mind active and invested in the learning process, driving further discovery. Quote 56. Logic concentrates attention upon high abstraction, and aesthetics keeps as close to the concrete as the necessities of finite understanding permit. Logic focuses on abstract concepts, often far removed from the complexities of real-world experience, while aesthetics remains grounded in the concrete, tangible aspects of life. Both logic and aesthetics offer different paths to understanding, with logic aiming for clarity through simplification and abstraction, and aesthetics embracing the richness of concrete, sensory experience. Quote 57. As we lose this sense of disclosure, we are shedding that mode of functioning which is the soul. When we stop experiencing the world as a continuous revelation or disclosure of new understanding, we lose a vital aspect of our existence, the part that connects us to deeper meaning and purpose. This mode of functioning, often described as the soul, is essential for living a truly engaged and meaningful life. Without it, we fall into mere conformity and lose the vibrancy that defines human life. Quote 58. One unfortunate result of this derivation from a brilliant past has been that defective insights of the earlier period have been rooted in language and literature. Also, language dictates our unconscious presuppositions of thought. The intellectual achievements of the past, while brilliant, have embedded flawed understandings into our language and literature. These historical perspectives shape how we think, often without us realizing it, because language carries with it unconscious assumptions. This inheritance from the past influences the way we interpret the world, sometimes perpetuating errors in our thinking. Quote 59. This presupposition is erroneous. Let us dismiss it and assume that each entity of whatever type essentially involves its own connection with the universe of other things. The assumption that entities can be fully understood in isolation is false. Every entity is deeply connected to the rest of the universe and cannot be fully comprehended without considering these connections. The nature of each thing is shaped by its relationships to other entities, and its significance emerges from these connections, not from its individual properties alone. Quote 60. The realm of forms is the realm of potentiality, and the very notion of potentiality has an external meaning. It refers to life and motion. Forms exist not as static, independent realities, but as expressions of potentiality, which only gain meaning through their connection to life and action. Potentiality is inherently dynamic, pointing towards future possibilities and developments. It is through this interplay of forms and actualization that life unfolds, and forms themselves are brought to realization through their involvement with the processes of the universe. Quote 61. The two types in question can be named respectively, the type of actuality and the type of pure potentiality. In understanding the world, two fundamental types of existence are crucial: actuality, which represents the concrete realization of possibilities, and pure potentiality, which signifies the limitless possibilities that have yet to be actualized. These two types are intertwined, as actuality embodies potentiality, and potentiality characterizes actuality. Together, they form the basis of how we perceive reality. Quote 62. The whole of science is based upon neglected modes of relevance, which nevertheless dominate the social group entertaining those scientific modes of thought. Science, while powerful in its discoveries, often neglects broader connections and influences outside its immediate focus. These overlooked factors, however, still shape the context in which scientific knowledge is applied and understood. Thus, science is not isolated from its social and environmental relevance, even though it often proceeds by focusing narrowly on specific phenomena. Quote 63. The question, "What do we know?" has been transformed into the question, "What can we know?" Philosophical inquiry has shifted from asking what we know to questioning the limits of what is possible to know. This change in focus reflects a more cautious approach to knowledge, acknowledging the boundaries of human understanding and the constraints imposed by the tools and methods through which we acquire knowledge. This shift also emphasizes the challenge of accessing certain types of knowledge. Quote 64. Surely we should start from principles which are larger, more penetrating. Arithmetic and topology are specialties. While fields like arithmetic and topology are important, they should not be seen as the foundational keys to understanding the entire nature of reality. Instead, we should begin with broader, more profound principles that encompass the full complexity of the universe. Arithmetic and topology represent specialized aspects of knowledge, but they do not provide a complete framework for comprehending the broader truths of existence. Quote 65. I suggest to you as fundamental characterizations of our experience three principles of division expressed by the three pairs of opposites: clarity and vagueness, order and disorder, the good and the bad. In human experience, three key divisions govern our understanding of the world: clarity versus vagueness, order versus disorder, and the good versus the bad. These oppositions reflect the fundamental ways we perceive, organize, and evaluate our experiences, serving as the basic modes through which we make sense of creation and existence. They provide the framework for understanding the complexity of life. Quote 66. Man understands structure. He abstracts its dominating principle from the welter of detail. Unlike animals who simply experience and enjoy the world, humans possess the ability to perceive and comprehend the underlying structures that govern reality. Humans can extract principles from the chaos of details, imagining alternatives and organizing goals. This capacity for abstraction and structural understanding allows humanity to aim for progress and higher achievements. Quote 67. Thus, the rise in vivid experience of the good and of the bad depends upon the intuition of exact forms of limitation. The ability to discern between good and bad experiences becomes clearer when we grasp specific limitations, such as the concept of number or other forms of precision. Understanding the finite, the boundaries that define an experience, heightens our sense of what is good or bad, giving us a more vivid awareness of value in life. Quote 68. The full solemnity of the world arises from the sense of positive achievement within the finite, combined with the sense of modes of infinitude stretching beyond each finite fact. The profound meaning of existence stems from the tension between finite accomplishments and the awareness of infinite possibilities beyond them. Each finite achievement holds significance because it hints at a greater, infinite reality. This fusion of finite and infinite creates a sense of importance and purpose in life, where each fact and moment is part of something larger. Quote 69. Life degenerates when enclosed within the shackles of mere conformation. A power of incorporating vague and disorderly elements of experience is essential for the advance into novelty. Rigid conformity and strict order limit creativity and progress. True growth requires the ability to embrace vagueness and disorder, allowing room for the unexpected and new possibilities. By incorporating these chaotic elements, life becomes dynamic and open to innovation, rather than stagnant and confined within predefined structures. Quote 70. We live in a world of turmoil. Philosophy and religion, as influenced by orthodox philosophic thought, dismiss turmoil. Such dismissal is the outcome of tired decadence. The world is inherently filled with turmoil and change, yet traditional philosophical and religious thought often seeks to deny or minimize this aspect of existence. This avoidance of turmoil reflects a decline in vitality, a symptom of intellectual and cultural exhaustion. Instead of avoiding it, philosophy should embrace the chaos of life as a central reality to be understood and navigated. Quote 71. Our whole conception of knowledge has been vitiated. The final wisdom has been pictured as the changeless contemplation of changeless reality. Western philosophy has been distorted by the notion that ultimate knowledge lies in the contemplation of a static, unchanging reality. This view undermines the value of dynamic, lived experience and the creative process. Instead of viewing reality as unchanging, knowledge should engage with the changing historical world, recognizing that wisdom involves action and creation, not mere observation. Quote 72. Plato and Hume illustrate that system is essential for rational thought, but they also illustrate that the closed system is the death of living understanding. Philosophers like Plato and Hume show that while systematic thinking is necessary for coherent thought, rigid adherence to a closed system stifles further understanding. True comprehension requires flexibility and openness to insights that go beyond fixed frameworks. Living understanding thrives in environments where the system is not overly restrictive. Quote 73. The finite focus of clarity fades into an environment of vagueness, stretching into the darkness of what is merely beyond. Our moments of clarity, while essential, are always surrounded by vagueness and uncertainty. Beyond what we clearly understand lies an unknown, vague realm that eludes our immediate grasp. This interplay between clarity and vagueness is a fundamental part of human experience, where understanding is always partial and incomplete. Quote 74. There are thus three factors within immediate existence, namely, past, present, and future. Every moment of existence is shaped by three interconnected dimensions: the past, the present, and the future. The present moment is influenced by the past and anticipates the future, creating a dynamic flow of time that defines the nature of reality. This triad forms the basis of how we experience and understand the world, as each moment is tied to what came before and what is yet to come. Quote 75. The essence of life is to be found in the frustrations of established order. The universe refuses the deadening influence of complete conformity. Life gains its energy and meaning from disruptions to established patterns of order. The universe, in its continuous search for novelty, resists the stagnation that would come from absolute conformity. These frustrations of order give rise to new possibilities and allow for creative and dynamic experiences, emphasizing that life is fundamentally about change and growth. Quote 76. We experience more than we can analyze, for we experience the universe, and we analyze in our consciousness a minute selection of its details. Human experience encompasses far more than what can be consciously understood or explained. While we are immersed in the vastness of the universe, our capacity to analyze and comprehend is limited to only a small fraction of this totality. This emphasizes the limits of human understanding in relation to the complexity and richness of the world around us. Quote 77. All actuality involves the realization of form derived from factual data. It is both a composition of qualities, and it is also a form of composition. Every actual event or thing is the realization of a specific form that emerges from the factual data of the universe. This process involves combining different qualities to create something new, and the way these qualities are organized and composed defines the nature of the realized actuality. This means that actuality is not static, but is shaped by the continuous interplay of data and form. Quote 78. The universe is not a museum with its specimens in glass cases, nor is the universe a perfectly drilled regiment with its ranks in step, marching forward with undisturbed poise. The universe is not a static, unchanging collection of things, nor is it a perfectly ordered system. Instead, it is dynamic, full of movement and change. This description emphasizes that the universe is characterized by its ongoing processes of creation and destruction, where nothing remains fixed or rigidly controlled. Life and reality are in constant flux. Quote 79. Process is fundamental to actuality. Then each ultimate individual fact must be describable as process. If process is essential to existence, then every individual fact or entity must be understood in terms of its participation in a larger process. Reality is not made up of isolated static facts, but of ongoing processes of becoming, where each entity is part of a broader, interconnected flow of change and development. Quote 80. My contention is that the sentence "twice 3 is 6" considers a process and its issue. The seemingly simple mathematical statement, "twice 3 is 6", is not merely a tautology, but represents a process. It reflects the joining of two groups of three and the outcome of this process. In this view, arithmetic involves the unfolding of processes rather than static facts, where each equation points to a specific form of transition that leads to a new result. Quote 81. The nature of any type of existence can only be explained by reference to its implication in creative activity, essentially involving three factors, namely data, process with its form relevant to these data, and issue into datum for further process. Existence must be understood in the context of creative activity, which always involves data, the process of transformation, and the resulting issue that becomes the basis for future processes. This cycle of data, process, and outcome defines how things exist and interact in the world, with each stage leading into the next, in a continuous flow of creation. Quote 82. The final number belongs to no one of the units. It characterizes the way in which the group unity has been attained. A number such as 6 is not simply a sum of individual units, but represents the way in which those units are brought together into a unified whole. The number reflects the structure and process by which a group is formed, emphasizing that numbers are not just static quantities, but expressions of how individual elements are combined. Quote 83. The notion of the world process is therefore to be conceived as the notion of the totality of process. The world process should be understood as the entirety of all processes, encompassing the full range of transitions, interactions, and changes that occur throughout existence. This totality is not limited to individual events or isolated facts, but includes the infinite complexity of how everything in the universe evolves and interacts over time. Quote 84. Nothing in realized matter of fact retains complete identity with its antecedent self. No entity remains completely identical to its past self. Everything in the universe undergoes changes, both large and small, that alter its nature over time. While certain aspects of identity may be preserved, the continuous process of transformation ensures that nothing remains fully static or unchanged from one moment to the next. Quote 85. Process and individuality require each other. In separation, all meaning evaporates. Individuality and process are interdependent. Without one, the other loses significance. The character of any process is shaped by the individuals involved, while individuals themselves can only be understood within the context of the processes in which they participate. Their mutual dependence is essential to the meaning and coherence of existence. Quote 86. The whole understanding of the world consists in the analysis of process in terms of the identities and diversities of the individuals involved. Understanding the world requires examining how processes unfold, shaped by both the similarities and differences of the individuals involved. The peculiarities of individuals influence the nature of the processes they are part of, and understanding any event or phenomenon means recognizing these contributions and how they interact to create new realities. Quote 87. The notion of potentiality is fundamental for the understanding of existence, as soon as the notion of process is admitted. Once we accept that process is central to existence, potentiality becomes a key concept. Everything exists not just as it is, but also in relation to what it can become. Potentiality drives change, shaping how the present is influenced by the past and how it will, in turn, shape the future. The unfolding of potential is what gives life its meaning and direction. Quote 88. Apart from time, there is no meaning for purpose, hope, fear, energy. If there be no historic process, then everything is what it is, namely, a mere fact. Time is essential for making sense of concepts like purpose, hope, and fear. Without the unfolding of events over time, there would be no change, no anticipation, and no motivation. Life would reduce to static facts, devoid of movement or meaning. Time, as the dimension of change, provides the framework within which all dynamic experiences of life occur. Quote 89. Space expresses the halt for attainment. It symbolizes the complexity of immediate realization. It is the fact of accomplishment. While time represents change and process, space represents the point at which something is achieved and realized. It symbolizes the moment of completion and the complexity of what has been attained. Space, in this sense, is where the ongoing flow of process temporarily pauses, allowing for the realization of something concrete and accomplished. Quote 90. Finally, there is deity, which is that factor in the universe whereby there is importance, value, and ideal beyond the actual. Deity represents the source of meaning, value, and ideals that transcend mere factual existence. It is the aspect of the universe that points toward something greater than the immediate, something that gives life purpose and direction beyond the current moment. Deity is what inspires the pursuit of ideals and makes the world meaningful in a way that extends beyond the present reality. Quote 91. We thereby experience a relationship to a universe other than ourselves. We are essentially measuring ourselves in respect to what we are not. Human experience involves a constant relationship with something outside ourselves, something greater that we compare and aspire to. This external standard, whether it be ideals, values, or the broader universe, allows us to understand our limitations and strive for growth. It is through this comparison that we recognize our place in the larger context of existence. Quote 92. Science investigates the past and predicts the future in terms of the forms of past achievement. But as the present becomes self-destructive of its inherited modes of importance, then the deistic influence implants in the historic process new aims at other ideals. Science is grounded in the study of past events and uses this knowledge to predict future developments. However, when existing structures and ideals lose their relevance or become harmful, a deistic influence introduces new goals and ideals, guiding the historical process toward renewal. This creative force ensures that history is not just a repetition of past patterns, but a dynamic movement toward new possibilities. Quote 93. It is the religious impulse in the world which transforms the dead facts of science into the living drama of history. The religious impulse, rooted in the search for meaning and ideals, brings life and significance to the otherwise static facts uncovered by science. While science explains how things work, it is the religious or philosophical drive that gives history its drama, infusing it with purpose, struggle, and the pursuit of higher ideals. This impulse turns mere data into a narrative of human progress and transformation. Quote 94. The essence of existence lies in the transition from datum to issue. This is the process of self-determination. Existence is fundamentally defined by the movement from an initial state to an outcome, a dynamic process through which self-identity is shaped. This transition is where life and creativity reside, as it is through this ongoing flow that new forms and meanings emerge. The act of self-determination occurs within this movement, where each moment leads to the next in a continuous unfolding. Quote 95. We are conscious of more than clarity. The importance of clarity does not arise until we have interpreted it in terms of the vast issues vaguely haunting the fullness of existence. Clarity of experience is only significant when placed within the broader, less defined context of existence. It is not the distinct details themselves that hold meaning, but the way these details are interpreted within the larger, often vague, backdrop of life. It is through this interplay between clarity and vagueness that we find the deeper significance of our experiences. Quote 96. The details are a reaction to the totality. They add definition. They introduce powers of judgment. They exalt men above animals, and animals above vegetables, and vegetables beyond stones. Details, rather than being the foundation of experience, are responses to the greater whole. They provide definition and clarity, allowing for higher forms of judgment and understanding. This hierarchy of perception, humans above animals, animals above plants, and plants above inanimate objects, emerges from our ability to respond to and interpret these details within the context of the totality of existence. Quote 97. At the base of our existence is the sense of worth. Now, worth essentially presupposes that which is worthy. The foundation of human existence is the sense of worth, the feeling that life has value. This presupposes that there are things in the world that are worthy of that value. Worth is not abstract. It is tied to the experiences and entities that justify and fulfill it. This underlying sense of value shapes our perception of reality and our interactions with the world. Quote 98. We are, each of us, one among others, and all of us are embraced in the unity of the whole. Each individual is both distinct and part of a greater whole. We exist as unique entities, yet we are interconnected with others and with the entire universe. This duality of being, where the individual and the collective coexist, is central to our experience of reality, emphasizing the shared nature of existence while recognizing personal identity. Quote 99. Human beings are amateurs in sense experience. The direct, vivid clarity does not dominate so as to obscure the infinite variety involved in the composition of reality. Compared to other creatures, humans are not specialists in sensory experience. Instead, our experience of the world involves a balance between clear sensory details and the infinite complexity of reality. The vividness of sense data, while important, does not overwhelm the deeper, more varied aspects of existence that we constantly navigate and interpret. Quote 100. The body is the basis of our emotional and purposive experience. It determines the way in which we react to the clear sensa. The human body serves as the foundation for our emotions and intentions, shaping how we respond to sensory input. Our physical being is not just a passive vessel, but an active participant in our experiences, influencing how we perceive and interact with the world. The body and mind are intimately connected, each affecting the other in the process of living. Quote 101. The body is that portion of nature with which each moment of human experience intimately cooperates. The human body is a part of the natural world, and every moment of experience involves an intimate interaction between the body and the external environment. This cooperation is fundamental to how we live and perceive reality, as our physical existence is in constant communication with the natural forces and phenomena around us. This interdependence highlights the body's role in grounding our experience of the world. Quote 102. Our bodily experience is the basis of existence. How is it to be characterized? In the first place, it is not primarily an experience of sense data, in the clear and distinct sense of that term. The most basic aspect of our existence, our bodily experience, is not defined by clear and distinct sensory input. Instead, it is a more fundamental, often unspoken awareness of being that underlies our sensory perceptions. This deeper bodily experience forms the core of how we relate to the world, going beyond mere sense data to include emotional and purposive dimensions. Quote 103. The body provides our closest experience of the interplay of actualities in nature. Through our bodies, we experience the most immediate interaction with the natural world. This bodily experience is where we directly encounter the forces and phenomena of nature, giving us a unique perspective on the interconnectedness of all things. The body acts as a bridge between human consciousness and the broader natural environment, allowing us to participate in the ongoing processes of the universe. Quote 104. Our enjoyment of actuality is a realization of worth, good or bad. It is a value experience. Every experience of existence, whether perceived as good or bad, involves an awareness of its value. This sense of worth is intrinsic to the nature of being, and our engagement with reality is fundamentally a process of recognizing that value. Whether we enjoy or reject an experience, we are always interacting with it as something that matters. Quote 105. Clear, conscious discrimination is an accident of human existence. It makes us human, but it does not make us exist. The ability to clearly perceive and analyze the world is a key characteristic of humanity, but it is not the essence of our existence. Conscious discrimination is just one aspect of being human, and while it defines our capacity for thought and understanding, it is not what brings us into existence. Our existence is rooted in something deeper, beyond conscious thought. Quote 106. The primary glimmering of consciousness reveals something that matters. At the most basic level of consciousness, there is an immediate awareness that something is significant. Before any detailed understanding or analysis, there is a primal recognition that the world around us and our experiences within it are meaningful. This initial awareness of importance is what sparks further attention and thought. Quote 107. Experience awakes with these dim presuppositions to guide its rising clarity of detailed analysis. There is the totality of actual fact. There is the externality of many facts. There is the internality of this experiencing which lies within the totality. As consciousness develops, it begins with vague assumptions that shape how we gradually perceive reality. These presuppositions include a sense of the whole, the existence of external facts, and the internal experience of being part of that whole. These foundational ideas guide our journey from vague awareness to detailed understanding. Quote 108. Actuality is the self-enjoyment of importance, but this self-enjoyment has the character of the self-enjoyment of others, melting into the enjoyment of the oneself. To exist is to experience the significance of one's own being, but this self-enjoyment also includes the recognition of the significance of others. There is an inherent connection between individual self-awareness and the awareness of others, where the joy of being is shared and interwoven, making individual existence part of a larger, collective experience. Quote 109. The essence of power is the drive towards aesthetic worth for its own sake. All power is a derivative from this fact of composition, attaining worth for itself. Power, in its most fundamental form, is the pursuit of aesthetic value, of creating something that has worth simply for being itself. This drive toward creating and realizing worth is the source of all power, and it is through the process of composition, of bringing elements together into something new and valuable, that power is expressed. Quote 110. There is a unity in the universe, enjoying value and, by its immanence, sharing value. The universe is united in its capacity to experience and share value. This unity is not just an abstract concept, but is actively present within the universe, allowing value to be experienced by all things and shared among them. The interconnectedness of everything in the universe ensures that value is a shared experience, linking all parts of existence. Quote 111. The variations of importance are beyond our weak imaginations, and yet aesthetic importance in any factor of experience carries its proof of existence beyond present immediacy. The range of significance in the universe is far greater than what we can fully comprehend. However, each moment of aesthetic importance, every instance of something beautiful or meaningful, demonstrates its value, extending beyond the immediate experience. This importance is not limited to the present moment, but resonates through time and space. Quote 112. The growth of consciousness is the uprise of abstractions. It is the growth of emphasis. The totality is characterized by a selection from its details. Consciousness develops through the increasing use of abstractions, focusing on specific aspects of the total experience. As we become more conscious, we emphasize certain details, drawing them out from the larger whole and giving them special attention. This selection process shapes how we understand and interact with the world, allowing us to engage with complexity in meaningful ways. Quote 113. Philosophy is the product of wonder. The effort after the general characterization of the world around us is the romance of human thought. Philosophy originates from the human sense of wonder and curiosity about the universe. The attempt to broadly characterize and understand the world is not just an intellectual exercise, but a deeply romantic pursuit, filled with mystery and continual discovery. Even as we gain knowledge, the answers remain elusive, making this pursuit an ongoing journey of thought and exploration. Quote 114. You cannot talk vaguely about nature in general. We must fix upon details within nature and discuss their essences and their types of interconnection. To understand nature, we cannot rely on vague generalities. Instead, we must focus on specific details and their inherent qualities, as well as the ways in which these details are interconnected. Nature is complex, and our understanding depends on our ability to analyze and abstract these particular elements, recognizing how they work together to form the larger whole. Quote 115. When we survey the subsequent course of scientific thought, every single feature of the original common-sense notion has been entirely destroyed, so far as concerns its function as the basis for all interpretation. As scientific thought has evolved, it has gradually discarded the original common-sense views of the universe. The basic assumptions that once seemed obvious and fundamental no longer serve as a valid foundation for interpreting the world. Science has moved beyond these simple notions, revealing deeper complexities that challenge our earlier understanding. Quote 116. This common-sense notion still reigns supreme in the workaday life of mankind. It dominates the marketplace, the playgrounds, the law courts, and, in fact, the whole sociological intercourse of mankind. Despite being overturned by science, the common-sense view of the universe continues to dominate everyday life. It shapes how people interact with the world in practical settings, such as commerce, social activities, and legal frameworks. In these contexts, the traditional, intuitive understanding of reality persists, even though it is no longer scientifically accurate. Quote 117. All ultimate reasons are in terms of aim at value. A dead nature aims at nothing. It is the essence of life that it exists for its own sake, as the intrinsic reaping of value. Ultimate explanations for existence and the universe cannot be found in a purely mechanical or lifeless nature. Only life, which exists for its own sake, embodies the pursuit of value. Life is inherently purposeful, always seeking to fulfill its own worth, while a purely dead, inert nature offers no reasons or aims. The essence of existence is bound up in the striving for value. Quote 118. The first item to be abandoned was the set of qualifications which we distinguish in sense perception, namely color, sound, scent, and analogous qualifications. One of the earliest shifts in scientific thought was the rejection of the idea that qualities like color, sound, and scent are inherent properties of objects. These sensory experiences were reinterpreted as mental reactions, not intrinsic aspects of the physical world. This shift marked a significant departure from the common-sense view of nature, altering how we understand our perception of reality. Quote 119. The sense of reality is the sense of effectiveness, and the sense of effectiveness is the drive towards the satisfaction of appetition. Our sense of what is real comes from the feeling of being able to act and have an effect. This effectiveness is driven by the desire to satisfy needs and goals. It is through this pursuit of fulfillment that we engage with and understand the world, as reality is defined by our ability to interact with it meaningfully and achieve results. Quote 120. Newton's methodology for physics was an overwhelming success, but the forces which he introduced left nature still without meaning or value. While Newton's approach to physics revolutionized science, it left a significant gap. Nature, as he described it, remained devoid of inherent meaning or purpose. His laws of motion explained how physical forces operate, but they did not address why such forces exist or how they relate to concepts of meaning and value. The universe, under this view, became a mechanical system without intrinsic purpose. Quote 121. In the essence of a material body, in its mass, motion, and shape, there was no reason for the law of gravitation. Newton's conception of material bodies, characterized by mass, motion, and shape, provided no intrinsic reason for why gravity should exist. While he successfully described how gravity operates, he could not explain why it occurs in the first place. The existence of gravitational forces remained a fact without deeper explanation within the Newtonian framework. Quote 122. My quarrel with modern epistemology concerns its exclusive stress upon sense perception for the provision of data respecting nature. The author challenges the modern emphasis on sense perception as the primary source of knowledge about nature. While sense perception is important, it is not sufficient for fully understanding the world. Other forms of knowledge and interpretation are necessary to grasp the deeper realities of existence, beyond what can be observed through the senses alone. Quote 123. The modern point of view is expressed in terms of energy, activity, and the vibratory differentiations of space-time. Any local agitation shakes the whole universe. The contemporary understanding of the universe emphasizes energy, constant activity, and the intricate connections within space-time. Even the smallest disturbance at one point can influence the entire universe, showing the interconnectedness of all things. This perspective contrasts sharply with earlier notions of isolated, self-contained entities, revealing a dynamic and interconnected cosmos. Quote 124. The environment enters into the nature of each thing. Some elements in the nature of a complete set of agitations may remain stable, as those agitations are propelled through a changing environment. Everything is shaped by its environment, and no entity exists in isolation. While certain aspects of a thing may appear stable, they are continually influenced by external factors. The stability we observe is often an average outcome of constant changes, illustrating how deeply interwoven each entity is with its surroundings. Quote 125. The notion of the self-contained particle of matter, self-sufficient within its local habitation, is an abstraction. Now, an abstraction is nothing else than the omission of part of the truth. The idea that particles of matter are independent and self-contained is a simplification that overlooks much of the truth. In reality, this is an abstraction, a useful but incomplete way of understanding the world. By focusing on one part of the picture, this concept omits the complex interactions and dependencies that actually define matter. Quote 126. Nature is a theater for the interrelations of activities. All things change, the activities and their interrelations. Nature should be understood as a stage where various activities interact. Everything is in flux, with constant changes occurring not only in the activities themselves, but also in the relationships between these activities. This dynamic interplay is the essence of the natural world, where nothing remains static. Quote 127. The modern use of the term space-time has eliminated the notion of bits of matter as self-identical supports for physical properties. The modern understanding of space-time has replaced the old concept of static particles of matter with a more fluid understanding of reality. Instead of thinking of matter as fixed and self-contained, we now see it as integrated within a continuum of activity and process, where properties emerge from relationships rather than isolated entities. Quote 128. Nature is full-blooded. Real facts are happening. Physical nature, as studied in science, is to be looked upon as a complex of the more stable interrelations between the real facts of the real universe. Nature is not a mere abstraction or mechanical system. It is vibrant and full of real, ongoing events. Science, when it studies physical nature, focuses on the stable patterns of these events. But these patterns are part of a larger, dynamic reality filled with complex interactions and happenings that go beyond simple explanations. Quote 129. This change of view, occupying 4 centuries, may be characterized as the transition from space and matter as the fundamental notions to process conceived as a complex of activity with internal relations between its various factors. Over the past 4 centuries, our understanding of the universe has shifted from viewing space and matter as the core concepts to recognizing that process and activity, along with their internal relationships, are more fundamental. This shift reflects a deeper appreciation of the interconnected, dynamic nature of reality, where things are constantly in motion and transformation. Quote 130. The laws of nature are merely all-pervading patterns of behavior, of which the shift and discontinuance lie beyond our ken. The laws of nature are overarching patterns that govern how things behave, but the details of how these patterns change or stop are often beyond our understanding. These laws offer a broad framework, but the full complexity of how the universe functions remains elusive, with many aspects still unknown to us. Quote 131. There is no absolute standard of magnitude. Any term in this progression is large compared to its predecessor, and is small compared to its successor. When considering the scale of things, there is no fixed point of reference. What seems large from one perspective may be small from another, and this relative view applies at every level of existence. Our perceptions of size, time, and importance are always dependent on the context in which they are observed. Quote 132. All realization involves implication in the creative advance. Every act of realization, every event in the universe is part of an ongoing process of creation. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything contributes to and is shaped by the larger flow of creative development. This ongoing advance is the driving force behind the changes and interactions we observe in the world. Quote 133. The very meaning of life is in doubt. When we understand it, we shall also understand its status in the world. The definition of life itself remains elusive. By grasping its true meaning, we will also comprehend how life fits into the broader framework of the universe. Until we fully understand life, both its essence and its place in nature remain mysteries that challenge philosophical and scientific thought. Quote 134. The doctrine that I am maintaining is that neither physical nature nor life can be understood unless we fuse them together as essential factors in the composition of really real things. This perspective holds that life and physical nature cannot be fully understood in isolation. Instead, they are integral components of reality, and their interaction forms the foundation of everything in existence. By merging these two concepts, we can gain a deeper understanding of the true nature of reality. Quote 135. Life implies the absolute individual self-enjoyment arising out of this process of appropriation. Life is defined by the ability of individuals to experience self-enjoyment through the process of integrating and appropriating the elements of their environment. This self-contained joy is a fundamental aspect of living beings, reflecting how life involves the active process of engaging with and transforming the world around it. Quote 136. The process of self-creation is the transformation of the potential into the actual, and the fact of such transformation includes the immediacy of self-enjoyment. Life is characterized by the continuous process of self-creation, where potentialities are actualized. This transformation is not just a mechanical act, but involves the immediate experience of self-enjoyment. Life, therefore, is both the creation of new realities and the immediate pleasure or fulfillment derived from that creation. Quote 137. There is no nature apart from transition, and there is no transition apart from temporal duration. Nature cannot be understood as a static entity. It exists only through constant change and transition. These transitions are inherently tied to the flow of time, meaning that time and change are inseparable from the very concept of nature. Without the passage of time, there is no nature as we know it. Quote 138. Thus, the characteristics of life are absolute self-enjoyment, creative activity, aim. The core aspects of life include self-enjoyment, the ability to engage in creative acts, and having a sense of purpose or aim. These elements define what it means to be alive, as life is not just about survival, but about actively creating and striving toward goals or new possibilities, all while experiencing intrinsic joy. Quote 139. The truth is that our sense perceptions are extraordinarily vague and confused modes of experience. Our sensory experiences, though vital, are inherently imprecise and often misleading. They provide only a superficial understanding of the world, failing to capture the deeper complexities of reality. This vagueness makes it difficult to fully grasp the true nature of the universe through sensory perception alone. Quote 140. Science can find no individual enjoyment in nature. Science can find no aim in nature. Science can find no creativity in nature. It finds mere rules of succession. Science, in its current form, fails to detect the deeper elements of life, such as enjoyment, purpose, and creativity. It only identifies patterns and rules of succession, missing the rich experiences and intentions that define living beings. This limitation reflects the boundaries of scientific methodology when it comes to understanding life and consciousness. Quote 141. There is no necessity in any of these ways of behavior. They exist as average, regulative conditions because the majority of actualities are swaying each other to modes of interconnection exemplifying those laws. The laws of nature are not absolute or necessary, but are instead the result of the interactions between countless entities. These entities influence each other, creating patterns of behavior that we observe as natural laws. These laws prevail because of the collective behavior of the universe's components, but they are not immutable or predetermined. Quote 142. New modes of self-expression may be gaining ground. We cannot tell. But, to judge by all analogy, after a sufficient span of existence, our present laws will fade into unimportance. It is possible that new ways of expressing reality are emerging, though we may not yet be aware of them. Over time, the laws and patterns we currently recognize may lose their relevance, as the universe evolves and new principles come to dominate. This highlights the transient nature of the laws that govern our current understanding of reality. Quote 143. All explanations of the sociological functionings of mankind include aim as an essential factor in explanation. In understanding human behavior, aim or purpose is always a key element. Whether it's a criminal investigation or international relations, the intentions behind actions are essential to making sense of events. This recognition of purpose as a driving force highlights that human actions are guided by goals. And without acknowledging this, it would be impossible to fully explain why things happen. Quote 144. We find ourselves living within nature. Secondly, I conclude that we should conceive mental operations as among the factors which make up the constitution of nature. Humans are part of nature, not separate from it. Our mental activities, thoughts, emotions, and intentions are just as much a part of the natural world as physical phenomena. Recognizing this helps to bridge the gap between mind and nature, integrating them into a unified view of reality. Quote 145. There are borderline cases which bridge the gaps. Often the borderline cases are unstable and pass quickly. In nature, distinctions between different forms of existence, such as between animals, plants, and inorganic matter, are not always clear-cut. There are transitional, unstable forms that briefly exist, blurring these boundaries. These borderline cases highlight the continuity and interconnectedness of all things, despite our attempts to categorize them into rigid classes. Quote 146. The information provided by mere sight is peculiarly barren, namely, external regions disclosed as colored. Sight, as a form of sense perception, provides limited and superficial information about the world. It offers us a visual field of colored regions, but gives no insight into the deeper activities or internal processes occurring within what we see. This highlights the limitations of relying solely on vision to understand the true nature of reality. Quote 147. All sense perception is merely one outcome of the dependence of our experience upon bodily functionings. Our sense perceptions, such as sight or touch, are directly influenced by the way our bodies function. The body plays a crucial role in shaping how we experience the world, and our perceptions are not purely objective, but are intertwined with the physiological workings of our bodies. Understanding this relationship is key to fully grasping how we interact with nature. Quote 148. The human individual is one fact, body and mind. This claim to unity is the fundamental fact, always presupposed, rarely explicitly formulated. Each person is a unified whole, both body and mind, and this unity is an undeniable aspect of our existence. Though we may not always consciously think about this integration, it is a foundational truth that we experience daily. The body and mind are not separate entities, but are intertwined in the formation of the self. Quote 149. Our experience in the present discloses its own nature as with two sources of derivation, namely, the body and the antecedent experiential functionings. Our current experience is shaped by two primary influences, the state of our body and the continuation of our previous experiences. These two factors interact to form the present moment, with both the physical condition of the body and the mental continuity of past experiences contributing to how we perceive and engage with the world. Quote 150. But in conceiving our personal identity, we are apt to emphasize rather the soul than the body. When thinking about personal identity, we often focus more on the continuity of the soul or mind rather than the body. This mental or spiritual identity is seen as the core of who we are, even though the body plays an equally significant role in shaping our existence. The mind is often given priority when we reflect on what defines our selfhood. Quote 151. The claim to the unity of the soul is analogous to the claim to the unity of the body, and is equally obscure. Just as our understanding of the body as a unified entity is complex and somewhat vague, the notion of the soul's unity is similarly elusive. Both the body and the soul appear to be continuous and singular, yet when examined closely, their boundaries and definitions become less clear. This highlights the inherent difficulty in fully defining either the physical or mental aspects of our identity. Quote 152. Thus, nature in general and the body in particular provide the stuff for the personal endurance of the soul. The soul's continuity and endurance rely on the body and the broader workings of nature. While the soul or consciousness may seem distinct, it is fundamentally tied to the body's physical presence and the natural processes that sustain life. Without these physical underpinnings, the persistence of the soul would not be possible. Quote 153. The world is included within the occasion in one sense, and the occasion is included in the world in another sense. There is a reciprocal relationship between an individual's experience and the world. The world shapes each moment of experience, and at the same time, every experience is a part of the larger world. This mutual inclusion reflects how deeply interconnected we are with our surroundings, with both influencing and being influenced by one another. Quote 154. Each occasion presupposes the antecedent world as active in its own nature. Every new moment of experience is built upon the world that came before it. The past is not passive, but plays an active role in shaping the present, meaning that every event or occasion carries within it the influence of all previous events. This is essential for understanding how the world develops and how causation works in reality. Quote 155. We are in the world, and the world is in us. Our immediate occasion is in the society of occasions forming the soul, and our soul is in our present occasion. This quote emphasizes the deep interconnectedness between the individual and the world. Our experiences and our very sense of self are shaped by the world we inhabit, while our presence and actions also contribute to shaping that world. The soul, composed of a stream of experiences, is both a part of each moment and influenced by the broader environment. Quote 156. It is never bare thought or bare existence that we are aware of. I find myself as essentially a unity of emotions, enjoyments, hopes, fears, regrets, valuations of alternatives, decisions, all of them subjective reactions to the environment as active in my nature. Human experience is never purely intellectual or isolated from emotion. We exist as a complex unity of feelings, decisions, and responses to the world around us. Our thoughts and actions are shaped by our emotions and interactions with our environment, making each moment of existence a rich, subjective blend of mental and emotional life. Quote 157. If we stress the role of the environment, this process is causation. If we stress the role of my immediate pattern of active enjoyment, this process is self-creation. The way we interpret our experience depends on whether we focus on the external forces influencing us or our own role in shaping our experiences. When we emphasize the external world, we see causation at work. When we focus on our own internal processes, we recognize the creative aspect of shaping ourselves and our reality in each moment. Quote 158. Life is the enjoyment of emotion, derived from the past and aimed at the future. It is the enjoyment of emotion which was then, which is now, and which will be then. Life is fundamentally about emotional experience, which connects the past, present, and future. The emotions we feel are shaped by what has happened before, experienced in the present, and projected toward future possibilities. This continuity of emotion is central to what it means to be alive, constantly linking time through feeling. Quote 159. The occasion is concerned, in the way of feeling and aim, with things that in their own essence lie beyond it, although these things in their present functions are factors in the concern of that occasion. Each moment of experience reaches beyond itself, engaging with things that exist outside of it, while simultaneously incorporating them into the present. This process of feeling and aiming toward what lies beyond highlights how every occasion of experience is connected to something larger, and how the present moment encompasses more than just itself. Quote 160. Philosophy begins in wonder, and at the end, when philosophic thought has done its best, the wonder remains. Philosophy is driven by a sense of wonder and curiosity about the world. Even after exploring and understanding the complexities of existence, the mystery and awe remain. While philosophy helps clarify certain aspects of reality, it ultimately leads to a deeper appreciation of the vastness and complexity of life, which remains inexhaustible. Quote 161. The energetic activity considered in physics is the emotional intensity entertained in life. What science describes as energy and activity in physical terms can also be understood as emotional intensity in life. The forces that drive the universe are not just mechanical, but are mirrored in the intensity of human experience, where emotional energy plays a key role in shaping our existence. This connection between physical activity and emotional experience reflects a unified understanding of life and nature. Quote 162. Existence is activity, ever merging into the future. Life is a continuous process of activity that is always moving forward. Existence is not static, but constantly evolving, with each moment of action leading into the next. This forward movement defines the nature of being, where the present is always giving way to the future, driving the ongoing flow of life and experience. Quote 163. The task of a university is the creation of the future, so far as rational thought and civilized modes of appreciation can affect the issue. The role of a university is not merely to preserve knowledge, but to actively shape the future by fostering rational thinking and cultivating a refined sense of appreciation. Through education and intellectual development, universities contribute to the formation of a more enlightened and progressive society, influencing both achievements and potential tragedies that may arise. Quote 164. Philosophy is an attitude of mind towards doctrines ignorantly entertained. Philosophy involves questioning ideas that are accepted without full understanding. It is an intellectual approach that refuses to take any concept at face value and seeks to uncover the deeper meaning behind every notion. The philosophical attitude demands continuous exploration and inquiry into the underlying truths of every doctrine, rather than settling for surface-level comprehension. Quote 165. No philosopher is satisfied with the concurrence of sensible people, whether they be his colleagues or even his own previous self. He is always assaulting the boundaries of finitude. A true philosopher is never content with the agreement of others, or even with their own past conclusions. Philosophy is a relentless pursuit of deeper understanding, constantly challenging the limits of knowledge and pushing beyond the finite boundaries of human thought. Philosophers are driven by a desire to explore the unknown and expand the scope of understanding. Quote 166. There is an insistent presupposition continually sterilizing philosophic thought. It is the belief that mankind has consciously entertained all the fundamental ideas which are applicable to its experience. A common but limiting belief in philosophy is the assumption that humanity has already conceived all the fundamental ideas needed to understand the world. This presupposition, known as the fallacy of the perfect dictionary, stifles philosophical inquiry by assuming that all important concepts are already known and that language fully captures them. This belief hinders the discovery of new ideas. Quote 167. The speculative school appeals to direct insight and endeavors to indicate its meanings by further appeal to situations which promote such specific insights. In contrast to the critical school, which focuses on analyzing language, The speculative school of philosophy seeks to generate new insights through direct engagement with real-life situations. This approach encourages creative thinking and the expansion of understanding by exploring possibilities beyond the limitations of existing language and definitions. Quote 168. Philosophy is akin to poetry, and both of them seek to express that ultimate good sense which we term civilization. Philosophy and poetry share a common goal: to express the deeper truths of human experience and contribute to the cultivation of civilization. Both use forms that go beyond literal meaning, poetry through meter, and philosophy through abstract patterns. In doing so, they aim to capture the essence of what it means to live in a well-ordered, enlightened society. Quote 169. The use of philosophy is to maintain an active novelty of fundamental ideas, illuminating the social system. Philosophy plays a vital role in keeping intellectual thought dynamic by continually introducing new ideas that shed light on and challenge the existing social order. This process of renewing and refining fundamental concepts helps to prevent society from stagnating in outdated or conventional thinking, fostering growth and evolution in human understanding. Quote 170. Philosophy is mystical, for mysticism is direct insight into depths as yet unspoken. But the purpose of philosophy is to rationalize mysticism, not by explaining it away, but by the introduction of novel verbal characterizations, rationally coordinated. Philosophy, like mysticism, seeks to explore the unknown and gain insight into realms that have not yet been fully articulated. However, philosophy's aim is to bring structure and clarity to these insights, not to diminish or dismiss them. By introducing new concepts and rational frameworks, philosophy makes mystical insights more accessible and understandable without losing their profound depth. Quote 171. The pursuit of philosophy is the one avocation denied to omniscience. Philosophy is an endless pursuit of knowledge, and as such, it is irrelevant to those who possess complete understanding. Since philosophy thrives on questioning, discovery, and expanding knowledge, it is only meaningful in a context where there is still something left to learn. Omniscience leaves no room for philosophical inquiry, as all questions are already answered. Quote 172. Philosophy is an attitude of mind towards doctrines ignorantly entertained. It refuses to be satisfied by the conventional presupposition that every sensible person knows the answer. Philosophy challenges commonly held assumptions and refuses to accept easy answers that are based on convention. It is a mindset that constantly probes and questions, seeking to understand the full implications of every idea, rather than accepting it just because it seems sensible or widely understood. This attitude drives deeper inquiry and broadens the scope of human understanding. Modes of thought is not just an academic exploration, it is a call to understand the roots of our experience and the intellectual frameworks that guide us. Whitehead encourages us to embrace both the rational and the intuitive aspects of our thinking, reminding us that understanding the world requires a balance of precision and imagination. By engaging deeply with these fundamental ideas, Whitehead's reflections offer readers a profound insight into the creative impulses that shape our world and our lives, inspiring us to continually seek a deeper, more meaningful connection with the universe.
Curious to dive into the mind of Alfred North Whitehead? With StudyLab Pro's Book GPT, it's possible. Ask questions, explore themes, and discover the depths of modes of thought in an entirely new way. Start your conversation now by clicking on our logo. And if you're hungry for more educational content, subscribe to our channel to keep discovering, learning, and growing. Want more than just videos? Click on our logo now to join us on our platform for multiple choice tests, in-depth content, and tools to help you ace your studies. Get started now.